Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. In this problem, we're asked to find the curvature of our space curve at any point t. Well, I know that I can calculate the curvature by taking the norm of the cross product of r prime and r double prime and dividing it by the norm of r prime cubed. That's my formula. So I need to find all these different pieces. So let's go back to the original space curve. Let's first of all find r prime. So r prime of t is going to be I plus 2tj plus t times my vector k, taking the derivative of each of the components. Now let's get the second derivative. The derivative of 1 is 0, so that'll be 0 times I plus 2j plus k. All right, the next piece is I really need the cross product of these two. So let's go ahead and find the cross product. So r prime of t crossed with r double prime of t, we're going to set up a determinant form, I, a j, k, and the components of r prime, which will be a 1, 2t, and t, and then the components of r double prime, which are 0, 2, and 1. Okay, so I begin by canceling out the column and the row with the I, and I'll have 2t minus 2t times my vector I. Then I'll subtract what happens when I eliminate the row with j and the column with j, and so that will be a 1 minus 0, and that will be times vector j. And then I'll add in what happens when I eliminate the row and column with vector k and take that determinant. So that will be 2 minus 0 times my vector k. And then that's going to reduce down to 0i and minus j and 2k. All right, so that's my cross product. I think I'm ready now to go ahead and plug all of this into my formula, because the numerator for my curvature is the norm of this vector that I just created. So the norm, remember, is going to be the square root of the squares of each of the components. So I'll have 0 squared, a minus 1 squared, and a 2 squared. And then I'm going to divide that by the norm of r prime of t. All right, well, here's r prime of t up here. So its norm is going to be the square root of 1 squared plus 2t squared plus t squared. Now remember, in the formula, I have to take that norm and cube it. All right, so with a little arithmetic now, I determine that that numerator is going to be 0 plus 1 plus 4, so that gives me root 5 in the numerator. The denominator is going to be 1 plus 4t squared plus t squared. And instead of writing this as the square root raised to the third power, I'm just going to write that to the 3/2 power. And then one more simplification step, I've got root 5 all over the quantity 1 plus 5t squared to the 3/2 power. And that will give me the curvature at any point t along my curve. I hope that was helpful. Thanks.